Automated service observation. 1651 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility 10. View at 12, 2000. Temperature -1. Dew point -4. Altimeter 3007. Density altitude.
McCall traffic, Cessna, November 6214 Kilo is taxiing to runway 34 for VFR departure to the east. We don't need the whole runway, but as my flight instructor used to say, there's a couple of things you cannot use as a pilot. That is altitude above you, runway behind you, and fuel that was left in the truck. So we'll taxi all the way down to the end here just to give ourselves a little bit of a safety buffer. A little bit of overcast. Should have to only get up to about 10.5 to clear all the mountains that we're going to be going around into these strips. So hopefully a little bit further to the east, it's a little bit clearer actually in the mountains. We shall see. At least the wind is calm. These strips are absolutely not something you want to go into when there are heavy winds blowing. Pull up here. Do a quick run up just to make sure. Up to 1500 RPM. And left magneto check. Get a drop. Back up. Both magnetos check. A little bit of carb heat. I don't see anything on final. McCall traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo, taking off runway 34, VFR departure to the east. McCall. Rudder pedals are very, very, very sensitive to these Tundra tires. Probably need to adjust that. I'm putting like a 1/4 inch of movement into these pedals, and it's really. All right, wind suck. We got just a light wind from the left, a little bit of a tailwind, but that's okay. We got plenty of runway here. Call traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo, turning right, crosswind, runway 34, McCall. Send out, climb out around 80 knots, 80 miles an hour. We don't need to be too aggressive on our climb. We got plenty of time to get over the mountains here. McCall traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is departing the area to the east. Final call, McCall. All right, after takeoff, cylinder head temperature looks good, RPMs look good, suction looks good, batteries are charging. First stop is going to be Johnson Creek. I think that sits right around 5,500 above sea level. A little bit of bump coming over the ridges here. Johnson Creek you can approach from the north or the south. So we will probably set up, come the valley to the north. go ahead at 9,500. We should be good. Level off here a little bit. Since we're going to be in close canyons and flying a lot of tight areas, I'm just going to leave all the lights on. No reason not to. Make ourselves as visible as possible. Put an updraft coming over the ridges. See, what we're going to try to do is get in that valley to the north so that we can lose our altitude there. So that should be that valley right there. Get a little high. Johnson Creek is one of the longer airstrips we'll be going into. Still difficult. Wintertime, it's a lot easier, at least in the sim, because our density altitude doesn't take as big of a hit. In the summertime, you have a really, really hard time getting in and out of these strips, unless it's really early in the morning. Let's see. That hill. Alright, so we're going to drop right down into this valley, follow that up so we can start our descent in. You don't want to be too high and fast for anything in these canyons. Johnson Creek traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is at 8,000 in the canyon to the northwest, approaching for landing to the south. Johnson Creek. We want to be right where this valley cuts to the south. Up ahead of us, we're going to want to be right at our pattern altitude, about 6,000, and start slowing up and have our landing configuration even before we take this turn. Start slowing it up a little bit. Go ahead and put 1-notch flaps in. $5,500 will stop our descent. Johnson Creek traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is 1 mile from entering the valley to the north, landing to the south, Johnson Creek. instead of cutting that in there, I think we'll come up and get around this one little bump. Give ourselves a little bit of a longer final. Get slowed up. Let's get on our speed, get slowed down, get one more notch flaps in. Johnson Creek traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is on final, landing to the south, Johnson Creek. One more notch flaps. Be right over this bump, so we're hovering just above stall. Flaps out, power. Fly in the ground effect, pick up some speed. And head down the valley, get a little bit of altitude. Yeah, Big Creek can't be next. Something's a little funky there. The way that it put it in the GPS. For a best rate of climb here. Johnson Creek traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is clear of the area to the south, Johnson Creek. I believe the next airport, at least as far as it is on the GPS, is probably Indian Creek. And we'll overfly this one, see what the runway looks like, see if we want to come at it from, probably come at it from the south. It looks like. So if we just stay this direction, we can get down in that valley just on the other side of this ridge. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll just go for it. Over this ridge line, drop down in that valley, fly it into the main valley, take a left and land to the northeast. Bit of bumping going on. Looks like our valley here is once we get over these couple of shorter ridges, we'll drop down in there because we don't have to clear anything else before we get to the airfield. Long time since I've flown around to these little strips. I can't remember where they all are. Used to spend a lot of time doing this in FSX when it was one of the first ones that actually really did a good job of making these small little backwoods strips available. Watched a video called Idaho Exposed, where guy does this in real life. Flies into these little forestry airstrips. Fantastic video. We're in the yellow arc. It's a little bumpy, so we'll slow it down a little bit. I think we can follow this right down until it hits the main canyon. Take a left, and we should be pretty straight in for our run to, I believe that's Indian Creek. One of my favorite airstrips in here is a airstrip called Cabin Creek. It's curved in a little box canyon, and there is only one way in, one way out, and you have to drop in directly over a line of trees. And there is no go-around potential for it. You either make it or you don't. Hopefully we can manage to finish this entire flight without putting the wheels on the top. We'll see. Indian Creek traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is at 6,200 due west, 5 miles out, or landing to the north, Indian Creek. Leaving off some of our speed. Almost down in this canyon. And with as tight as it is, we'll probably go full stop here. So we get turned around, and we'll see. We'll go for the option. If we've got enough room, we'll go for it. There's the river. Oh, yeah. Full flaps. Watch the airspeed. Keep it right at 60. Just our descent with the throttle and our speed with the pitch. I think we'll just do a touch and go here. We should do a wheeled touch and go. Climb out at best rate. I think I can take this canyon to the left, but I don't want to get stuck in a box. Let's see. Now it is a box canyon, but I think we'll be able to clear here. Looks like we've got enough altitude for this. Clear this little saddle. Watch the speed. Let's see. Once we've got the altitude, we'll want to turn and head to the north again, but need to climb coming up this valley so that we can clear all of this. These are the types of things that can get you in trouble. So if you made a turn to come into this, it looks nice and open, but those ridge lines, by the time you get there, you have a difficult time clearing them. Definitely getting some downdrafts. Looks like we're pretty much home free. This entire area, there are definitely mountains that are above 10,000, but an altitude of 95 will give you pretty much most of the options that you need. You'll be able to clear most of the obstacles. All right, so since my GPS is messed up, I tried to do a loop of the flight planning, but for some reason wanted to move one airport out of sequence, which was the Indian Creek. So I had to come all the way south to go all the way back north. But we should be heading up to Big Creek at this point. We're flying in Idaho, so I'm not allowed to say creek. It must be crick. All these little airstrips are used by the Forestry Service to come in, and they do use them for search and rescue and emergencies and things like that, but mainly it's bringing in firefighting equipment. But you can fly into them. A lot of people do camping, go camping right on the airstrips and follow the Salmon River out here, do a lot of fishing. Mostly a spring thing, I would think, maybe fall. Doubt anybody flies in here a whole lot in the winter. Not sure though. It's possible. This whole area every year though does get lit up with forest fires. A lot of it is burned many, many times. Looks like right to the left here, try to drop in that little box canyon right over top of this ridge. Ooh, bumpy there. clear this, and we can pull back some power, slow down, start descending into this canyon, and we should be able to do a nice straight in here. Big Creek's pretty big airstrip, so we should be able to do a touch and go at this one as well. It's going to be on the left side of the canyon. There it is, nestled in that right straight in front of us, just to the left of that little bump up there. Big Creek traffic, Cessna November 6214 Kilo is approximately 5 miles to the south, inbound for touch and go to the north, Big Creek. And as we come off there, we'll make sure to turn right to follow the valley up and out. Another notch flaps. Still coming down, watch the speed. The hill right before that's a little deceptive looking. Another notch flaps. Flaps. 60 miles an hour. Keep that speed in, keep the speed in. go. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. That's it for the big open airports. The rest of these are going to be really, really, really tight. I believe Cabin Creek is next. Let's see. Yeah, Cabin Creek. This is one of my favorites. There's a blind turn in and absolutely no go around potential. Overfly the Vines airstrip, which is just ridiculous short. I think the entire strip is 800 feet. You'll see it down in the bottom. Is right down on the river. But in the sim, the trees butt right up to the end of it, and almost impossible to get in and out of there in any realistic way. Last landing was terrible. Tundra tires like to bounce a lot, and I actually seem to do worse with them when I've got too much runway to play with. Cabin Creek traffic, Cessna 614 kilos at 5,500, approximately 5 miles to the west. We'll be landing full stop, Cabin Creek. As we come over this little shoulder just up ahead, you'll see the Vines airstrip down in the bottom. I'd like to try it, but I'm not going to embarrass myself on stream because I will end up in the trees. Start slowing down. There's the Vines strip. See it just to the right side of the river up there. That one's hard to get in and out of. Need to be set up early for Cabin Creek. It's a left-hand turn and then straight into a box canyon. And if you're not prepared before you go into the canyon, you're not going to be able to stop, and there really is no go around. It's too tight to turn around, and the canyon walls behind it are just too steep. Just maintain slow flight. Their flaps out. Watching our speed and maintaining our altitude until we come around this corner. So we're going to be turning into this canyon on the left. So 70, let's pull that back. There's notch flaps. And we'll go ahead and do full flaps, get it to our landing speed. There she is. down. Right over the top of this tall tree here. We're going to dump it just as soon as we get past this tree. Take off out of here, put one notch of flaps in. Power up. Go full throttle while we're on the brakes. Come around this this bend right in the beginning of our takeoff roll. We'll have to turn to the left, and then we're going to hop out. And next airstrip is just over one little bump. It's called Soldier Bar, and it's actually sitting, instead of being down in a valley, it's up on a hilltop, but it's shaped like an S. So there's really it's deceptive. It looks long enough, but it's not. Flaps. Here also to keep an eye on your attitude indicator while you're doing this kind of flying, because it can be deceptive down in these canyons. You lose a horizon, and it's hard to tell sometimes the exact angle of the aircraft and whether you're level or in a turn, and you can get in an upset situation very, very easily if you're just using outside references. So there's nothing flat to look at, no flat horizon. Soldier Bar is also very difficult to see because it's kind of on the back side of a hill coming from this direction. So if you're not careful, you can absolutely overfly it. A lot of these airstrips are right next to the river where it's flat, so you can follow the river in, and we're getting ready to overfly this little strip down here in the bottom. I'm not sure what the name of that one is. I can't remember. It's one of the ranches, private ranch. But this one, You can see that green area just off the nose to the left up on that hill. That's where the airstrip is sitting, is right up on top of that bump. Soldier Bar traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is 2 miles to the west, 5,000 on final to land Soldier Bar. You can see what I'm talking about. So we're still a little bit below this bump is, but the airstrip is just on the back side of that. So we're going to get into our landing configuration. Nice slow flight. Come in just across the treetops and then drop it in. So for a straight runway. Whoop, 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 whoop. And whoop, 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 whoop. A little bit of ground loop, a little bit of nose over, a little bit of almost death. That's why we do it in the simulator. Guys that put airplanes in these strips in real life are just huevos grandes. That was ugly. Well, that's 2 ugly ones now. This next little bit, the canyon walls get really steep on both sides. It gets a little dark and disorienting on the way in there. The airstrips aren't bad as long as you're maintaining your altitude and your speed right. But it can be, canyon flying is a little disorienting. Soldier Bar traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo, taking off, departure to the east. Oh, that last landing was terrible. At least we didn't get a prop strike, but it was close. Knew I was going to overrun it. We picked up a little bit too much speed as we came over the trees. Cut power just a hair too late, and wanted to float, so I tried to use the brakes to get it slowed down, and not the right call while we were still on the wheels. There's two airstrips here that almost touch each other. Just one bar to the next. We're going to overfly the first one and go for the second. I believe this one is Wilson Bar, if I remember correctly. No, Flying V Ranch. This is the Flying V Ranch. This is a private airstrip. Many years ago now, I actually made a mission for FSX that incorporated some of these airstrips and some mechanical failures, which were a lot of fun. It was one of the using the missions SDK they came out with. So I've been flying these little strips in flight sim for a long time, but it just keeps getting better. The graphics, fantastic. Now, I don't have a super video card or anything like that, so I'm sure you can see some of the terrain coming into focus and getting sharpened as I get closer. I have my settings turned down a little bit just so that I can get better performance. I cannot stand getting lag heading in on a landing. So I sacrifice a little bit for the visual, but still the terrain modeling, the visual of this, the feeling that you get compared to even what we had in FSX or even 2020 is incredible. All right, so here's the first airstrip. Let's try slipping this one in. Get some speed off. Way too fast. Can we save it? Yeah, maybe. A little bit of ground loop to finish it up. takeoff. Should have definitely been a go around, but we stuck it in. This airport feels large compared to what we've been doing. Next one should be Lower Loon Creek. Excuse me. This is one of the ones that Flight Sim's got its little star on for unique places to visit. You watch the video of the Idaho exposed. The guy taking his 170 in and out of these strips. One of the really neat parts about it, it's from the cockpit, and all you hear is the stall horn blaring as he rides it in and out, keeping it right at the edge of stall the entire time. Be up just around this corner. Couple more bends. Slow speed. Got 3 notches of flaps in. We'll come around the corner. When we see the runway, we'll put in the 4th. There she is. Full flaps. Bring it back to 60. Woohoo! And did it again. Caught the bump. Alright, from here I think we just head right straight back to McCall. Down here, fly down the valley, try to do a steep turn. Right as I can here. There are a ton of these airstrips in this area. Highly recommend. If you like bush flying, this is a great place to do it. There's a sandbar right there. Don't even really need an airstrip. You could just try to drop right in on the sandbar. Let's pop up and over all of this. Get back to McCall. After my series of embarrassing attempts at landing, that's all right. That's why we do it in the simulator. Still a lot of fun. Really should try it without the Tundra tires, put just the standard tires on. See, you do get a lot of bounce and wobble with the Tundra tires, and the rudder inputs are really over exaggerated. I probably need to work on some calibration for that. Get a little bit more of a dead zone, but if nothing else, I hope you have enjoyed watching my failures, mocking my flying abilities. By all means, give it a shot. Something different than programming the FMC and hitting the autopilot button. I enjoy that as well, like doing instrument approaches and complicated approaches and navigating airspace, but sometimes it's fun to just a little bit of stick and rudder. Airstrip down on our left. Two of them. One on the hill and one down on the river. And just to the right up here is actually one of the first strips. That's Indian Creek, where we stopped right after we came out of Johnson Creek in the very beginning. I think it was the second landing we did. So we have kind of done a circuit following the river, Salmon River. Looks like we got some weather to the south. Yeah, we'll go ahead and skip these before that starts coming in. That is definitely not something we want to get involved with. We're going to pop up at, try to get somewhere around 95 or 10.5 so that we can just do a straight line right back over to McCall. Before the weather starts to get here. airstrip just left off the nose there. Very challenging, a lot of fun. Even if I did manage to screw up all but about one landing. But that's okay. Digital propellers are a lot cheaper to replace. Don't know how many videos I'm gonna make, and if you stayed this long, thank you. I can't believe you did. Can't believe it's worth watching, but I may do some different things. I certainly don't have the setup to do high quality streams, but one thing I am working on that I'll probably be putting some videos together is building a home cockpit. I do a lot with electronics. Another hobby of mine outside of flying and outside of flight simulation. So it is something I've been thinking about doing for 20 years. And got my pilot's license many years ago. Never did anything commercially with it or anything like that. Just a lot of GA flying, and not in the mountains. I live on the East Coast, so everything's fairly flat, and biggest altitudes I got to were maybe something like Charlottesville, Virginia, which I think is about 600 feet above sea level, something like that. So never really got into anything super complicated, just a lot of flat land flying. But I've loved it. I've enjoyed it my entire life. It's just, it is an expensive hobby. So this is a way to have a little bit of fun, get some enjoyment of flying. Simulators didn't used to be, they were great for practicing IFR, practicing procedures, things like that, getting familiar, but flying GA was always a little bit lacking. 2024, it certainly isn't. The flight models are getting better, the visuals are getting better, the weather is getting better. I just also installed Say Intentions. Been playing with that a little bit. That's a lot of fun. Still don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I'm having a good time with that. I don't know. If you enjoyed watching this, let me know. If you think it was ridiculous, be nice, but let me know that as well. My potato of a computer struggles to keep up with all of it, so I'm not sure whether I can even make something that's of a decent enough quality to be able to put out there, but why not? here, trim it out. Head back to McCall, which is our only paved, nice, long, flat, open area airstrip. So nice, easy runway. We'll see if we can manage to land on that with something that looks halfway decent without bouncing all over the place like we have been on everything else. It's interesting how the snow really kind of hit a line as we came into the mountains. I wonder how accurate that is. Never actually been to this area of the world in real life. For some reason, northern Idaho was not a place I ever ended up for anything else. I'd love to go out with an instructor someday and fly around some of these airstrips, and not to get proficient with it, but just to do it once or twice. Go with somebody qualified who knows what they're doing, and just ride along or try to get in and out of some of these strips. Smaller airplane, be a lot of fun. In the sim, I do a lot of Alaska flying. I'm sure, like a lot of people do. If they're into bush flying, Alaska is one of those places that pretty obvious go-to for this type of thing. But this is an area that's often overlooked, but it's just very, very densely packed with these small, really, really small, high altitude, steep grade strips. So certainly recommend you check it out. If it's something you're interested in, there's always another little airstrip just around the corner, and they all have their challenges. You spend a lot of time just working out different approaches. I've referenced Idaho Exposed quite a few times while doing this, talking about it, and one of the things you'll notice is when he's flying, and if you've ever watched the YouTube channel Missionary Bush Pilot, he does the same sort of thing. Any bush pilot, good bush pilot, does. They use ground references for everything that they're doing. So they really get to know the airstrips that they're coming in and out of. They know what tree on a particular mountain, when they get over that tree, exactly the speed and exactly the altitude that they need to be at, and don't even bother continuing unless they've got everything set up for each of those landmarks. And there's certainly a lot of that in this area as well. Certain curves in the river, certain bumps that you come over that need to be at an exact speed, exact altitude as you're coming over. Make sure that you're set up. So pick one. One of the better to get in and out of is Johnson Creek or Big Creek. Either one of those two are nice and long, but you definitely still do have density altitude. They're all sitting at 5,000 feet or better. Even in the sim, definitely don't try to do it in the middle of the day, in the middle of the summer. The heat makes it so that the density altitude can be well above 10, even 11,000 feet. And the turbulence is absolutely ridiculous later in the afternoon. And the updrafts and downdrafts just are ridiculously powerful. That's interesting. Why did that zoom in like that? Speaking of which, but yeah, play around with it, and then go into some historical weather, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Bump the temperature up, make it late afternoon. The air gets extremely turbulent. Density altitude goes way up, and if you're overloaded, you'll just don't have enough power to even get off a lot of these strips and get out of there. And yeah, I did skip a couple airports down here in the flats. Not a, Definitely would be interested to know if anybody knows of any other places that are like this with tight groups of airstrips, challenging approaches with these short fields. Love to check it out. So leave something in the comments. Let me know where you guys fly, and I'm sure somebody will tell me how much better at it they are than I am, which is fine. I would assume they're probably correct. Today was not a shining example, but that's the beauty of live streams is too late. I don't get to edit it. You guys have seen all the flaws. I can get to do 10 approaches and then pick the best ones. But even with our bit of a nose stand, still didn't strike the prop and managed to keep the airplane all in one piece. So I'll take that as a win. Also, if anybody's got any recommendations on settings for the sim, I've played with a lot and got it to a fairly stable form that I can deal with the graphics. I would rather that instead of all the trees just popping in like that, that I had a little bit greater distance. One of the biggest issues is with airfields. You get into I fly commuter jets, fly the Embraer 170 a lot in the sim. Um, the Fokker F-28, great aircraft. Really enjoy flying that. But you get a little bit more complex aircraft and start coming into a airport. It's got a little bit of complexity. You'll be on short final, I mean, within a mile, and level of detail starts kicking in, and everything starts to get sharper and load, and you start getting stutters on short final, and there is nothing worse. I'd rather it look like big fuzzy blobs than be loading in like that, because it's uncontrollable. You can't have anything smooth as far as your flight goes. And stopping to download all of the next level of detail terrain textures. traffic out there. It's probably an airliner. Looks like it. Much higher. Well, I don't know if we're going to beat this weather in or not. You can definitely see some of the rain coming in. I think we'll get underneath of it though. Just going to be on the edge of it here. Why does it load back in? That's let's see, what was the latest frequency? Is it not here? 3007, still saying no winds. It's almost 45 minutes old though. Waiting to see how quickly say intentions pops up, changes the terminal area. Right now what it's giving me is the Boise Air Terminal. I assume as I get closer here, what it has been doing is updating. I just don't know what the exact straight line distance is that it actually converts over. I'll give you the latest information. There's the lake. So experimenting with that a little bit. See, waits until I get right overhead, or it has not changed over yet, which I would have anticipated that it would have. And again, I do not, McCall is not a delta, so maybe it only does that with larger areas or controlled airports. A little bit of a bumpy ride across the ridges. The airport's right in front of us. It'll just pop up out of nowhere once I get close enough because of my level of detail settings. There it is. McCall traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo, radio check. Call traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo. Anybody in the area? McCall. It does not appear so. So I guess what we'll do is we'll do an overhead and swing around to come in for a left downwind for 3-4. Land the same way unless we take a look at the windsock and it says we need to do something different. Call traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is at 10,200. We'll be overflying east to west. Turn around to enter a left downwind runway 34, McCall. Start descending a little bit, about 5,000 feet above traffic pattern altitude. Just nose over, get the speed up. I know if I'm going to be close enough for my LODs to load the windsocks. You know what? Let's go back the other way. Let's run 16. McCall traffic, Cessna 6214 kilo is overhead, 8,500, turning around to enter a left downwind runway 16, McCall. So there is a little bit of wind. Don't know how much, hard to tell from this altitude, but we'll do it the right way anyway. McCall traffic, Cessna 6214 kilo is on a left downwind, runway 16, full stop, McCall. Call traffic, Cessna 6214 kilo, turning base, runway 16, full stop, McCall. Call traffic, Cessna 6214 kilo, turning final, runway 16, McCall. Let's go. Full left rudder, put the nose down. A little bit of a side slip. Oh, isn't that a nice, jagged, hot mess? Look at that. Terrible looking. Terrible landing. It's okay. We're safe. Call traffic, Cessna 6214 Kilo is clear of the runway, taxiing to parking. McCall. Definitely have got to adjust that rudder. All right. Up the landing lights. Don't get run over by the fuel truck. He's going to turn this way, isn't he? Love the immersion. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. And flammable. Yeah, the jagged edges of the runway were something. I don't typically get that. That's something that I've only seen with snow. It's usually a lot softer looking than that. Well, I appreciate you watching if you've made it this far, and I hope you got something out of my ramblings and terrible landings. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. Love to see if anybody even watches it. Let's pull up here. It's cold out, so we'll get close up to the building here. So don't have to stand outside too long. Park brake is set. Radio off. And pull the mixture. Master off. Lights are off. Beacon is off. Heater is off. And we are back. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, let me know in the comments if you got anything useful or constructive criticism. Love to hear from you. Take care.